Hello student, good morning. Myself Sri K.D. Borse sir, biology subject teacher. In previous lecture we learned control and coordination chapter content concept. Synapse. You know synapse means interconnection between two neurons. We also learn in previous lecture properties of nerve fibers. Today we are going to learn types of synapses. You know there are two types of synapses, electric synapse and chemical synapse. So let us start today's first concept, synapse. What is synapse? Synapse means junction between two neuron cells, or neuron with motor organs in between a minute gap called as synaptic synapse means junction between two nerve cells or neuron with motor organs, in between them a small minute gap. Such gap are also called as synaptic cleft, called as synapse. Senior diagrammatic representation. What is synapse? One neuron terminal part of axon is connected to dendrite part of the other neuron. In between them a synapse is seen. We learn types of synapse. There are two types of synapse, electrical synapse and chemical synapse. We learn one by one. What is electrical synapse? Electrical synapse means one of the type of synapse in which impulse transmit by electrical current flow. Impulse transmit by electrical current flow from one neuron to other neuron. Such synapse called as electrical synapse. Electrical synapse मध्ये impulse transmit होतो from one neuron to other neuron through electrical current flow. Seen here diagrammatic representation. Electric current flow transmit impulse from one neuron to other neuron. So this is the one neuron axon terminal part, and this one is other neuron dendrite part. So this is the presynaptic terminal part of the neuron, and this one is postsynaptic terminal part of the neuron. In between them a small gap is present called as electrical synapse or synapse. So impulse transmit from one neuron to other neuron. Now we learn how impulse transmission from one neuron to other neuron through electrical synapse. Number one, first, such synapse means electrical synapse are mechanical synapse because impulse transmission from one neuron to other neuron, mechanical base. Senior diagrammatic representation. Impulse is directly transferred from one neuron to other neuron. Mechanical base, so called as mechanical synapse. Second point, the gap between two neurons of the electrical synapse is very less, about only 3.8 nanometer distance, as compared to chemical synapse is very less seen in electrical synapse. Always remember, this is different between point of electrical synapse and chemical synapse. Here very less gap seen in between the two neurons, about 3.8 nanometer distance. Third point, in this synapse means electrical synapse, electrical conductive link is formed between presynaptic neuron and postsynaptic neuron, and due to this, impulse transmission from one neuron to other neuron, impulse transmitting by electrical synapse much faster than that of the chemical synapse. So this is also different between point of view electrical synapse and chemical synapse. Impulse transmitting very fast seen in electrical synapse than the chemical synapse. Such electrical synapses are found or present those places of the body requiring fastest response. आपल्या बॉडीत ज्या ठिकाणी गरज आहे फास्टेस्ट रिस्पॉन्सची त्या लोकेशनला इलेक्ट्रिकल सायनॅप्स असतो. लाईक डिफेन्स रिफ्लेक्सेस, डिफेन्स म्हणजे संरक्षण करणारे जे रिफ्लेक्सेस आहेत, at that location electrical synapses are found or present, because electrical synapse impulse transmitted very faster than the chemical synapse. Point number 6, they are means in electrical synapse bidirectional, means impulse transmission from one neuron to other neuron, also other neuron to first neuron. Few location unidirectional is also shown here, clearly seen. Impulse transmission from this neuron to this neuron, also this neuron to this neuron, means bidirectional impulse transmission seen in electrical synapse. Few location unidirectional is also seen. Up to this we detail discuss electrical synapse is one of the synapse. Always remember it is mechanical base, very less gap between them two neurons, also much faster impulse transmission as compared to chemical synapse, and such synapses are found those places of the body where requiring fastest response. Now we learn chemical synapse. What is chemical synapse? It is one of the type of synapse in which impulse transmitted by chemical neurotransmitter, impulse transmitted by chemical neurotransmitter from one neuron to other neuron, from one neuron to other neuron, or non-neuron cells like muscles, gland cells, organs. Such synapse called as chemical synapse, means chemical synapse impulse transmitted by chemical or neurotransmitter. You know, acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter, dopamine, serotonin, also neurotransmitter. So impulse transmitted by neurotransmitter chemicals from one neuron to other neuron, also non-neuron cells like muscles, gland and organ. These are the specialized junction, means chemical synapse is specialized junction through which cells of the neural system send chemical signal to other neuron or non-neuronal cells like gland and muscles. We learn how impulse transmission from one neuron to other neuron, or one neuron to non-neuron like gland or muscles in chemical synapse. Number 1, synaptic gap is larger than that of the chemical synapse and about 20 to 40 nanometer. You know, in electrical synapse, synaptic gap is very less, about only 3.8 nanometer distance. Here very large, seen like about 20 to 40 nanometer. So this is different between electrical synapse gap and chemical synapse gap. Chemical synapse present between a motor neuron and a muscle cells. Chemical synapse present between a motor neuron and a muscle cell called as neuromuscular junction. What is neuromuscular junction? It is present in between a motor neuron and muscle cell, so called as neuromuscular junction. There are 3 components of chemical synapse. Means typical chemical synapse seen 3 components. Number 1, first, presynaptic terminal, mostly axonic terminal is presynaptic terminal is first component. Second one is synaptic membrane of the postsynaptic cell, usually and dendrites of the next neuron or gland or muscle. So this is the second component of the chemical synapse. And third one is the postsynaptic neuron. Means these 3 components are involved in typical chemical synapse. Most of time, what are the components of typical chemical synapse? Presynaptic terminal, synaptic membrane of the postsynaptic cell, and postsynaptic neuron are 3 components. Now, fourth point, impulse travel in presynaptic neuron. Impulse travel in presynaptic neuron from cyton to axon terminal. Here clearly seen impulse travel from presynaptic neuron. So these are the impulse transmission from presynaptic neuron from cyton to axon terminal. Means this part is cyton. So impulse transmission from cyton to axon terminal end. So this is the axon terminal end of the neuron. Presynaptic neuron have several synaptic nodes at axon terminal. Seen here, presynaptic neuron. Hence this one is presynaptic neuron. Its axon terminal show or seen number of axon terminal nodes. Here 3 axon terminal nodes. Here also 3 axon terminal nodes. So presynaptic neuron have several synaptic nodes at axon terminal end node. Axon terminal end node have arises membranous sac. So this is the axon terminal node. Arises membranous sacs called them synaptic vesicles. In here, axon terminal node, inside it see number of synaptic vesicles. So these are the synaptic vesicles, synaptic vesicles, and such synaptic vesicles contain neurotransmitter molecules. Means these synaptic vesicles present in axon terminal knob inside it. Inside the synaptic vesicle present neurotransmitter molecules like acetylcholine, dopamine, serotonin are neurotransmitter. Point number 4. When an impulse reaches a synaptic knob, when impulse reaches a synaptic knob, means these are the impulse reaches at synaptic knob. At that time, voltage sensitive calcium channel open. Always remember, when impulse reaches a synaptic knobs, जेव्हा impulse synaptic knob पर्यंत येतात, सीन हिअर impulse आलेले दिसत आहेत आपल्याला synaptic knob पर्यंत. At that time, voltage sensitive calcium channel open. These are the voltage sensitive calcium channels. Here this one is voltage sensitive calcium channel, this one is also, and this one is also. Means the axon terminal end or knob present voltage sensitive calcium channel open, and due to this calcium ions diffuse inward inside the axonic knob from extracellular fluid. Seen here, outside axon, extracellular fluid contain calcium ions transfer from extracellular fluid to inside the knob due to open calcium channels, and such calcium channel open. Due to this, calcium ion diffuse inward inside the axon terminal end. Up to this we detail discuss total 4 characteristic features of chemical synapse. Now we learn 5th number of chemical synapse characteristics. The increased calcium concentration inside the axonic synaptic knob, means here inside the synaptic knob calcium ions are introduced through outside the extracellular fluid. So inside axonic knob, increase calcium ions inside the axonic synaptic knob initiate a series of events. Due to calcium ion enter into the synaptic knob, initiate series of events like number 1, fuses of synaptic vesicles with membrane of presynaptic neurons. In here, these synaptic vesicles are fuses at the presynaptic membrane, means presynaptic axonic membrane are fuse. Here noted here, synaptic vesicles are fused to presynaptic neuron membrane, and second event takes place due to increased concentration calcium ions inside the axonic membrane. Synaptic vesicle release neurotransmitter molecule. Such process called as exocytosis, means the series of events takes place after increase calcium concentration inside the axonic knob. First event fuse synaptic vesicles with membrane of presynaptic neuron. This one is presynaptic neuron membrane. Here the synaptic vesicles seen that are fused with axonic membrane. And second event, such synaptic vesicle release neurotransmitter, such process called as exocytosis. What is exocytosis? Synaptic vesicles present in the axonic knob, they fuse at presynaptic membrane and release neurotransmitter, such process called as exocytosis. Point number 6, released neurotransmitter bind to neurotransmitter receptor. Released neurotransmitter bind to neurotransmitter receptor present on postsynaptic membrane. Here clearly seen, this is the postsynaptic membrane. On postsynaptic membrane present neurotransmitter receptor, this green colored patches called as neurotransmitter receptors. Such neurotransmitter receptor are receive neurotransmitter molecules that are released by synaptic vesicles present on membrane of axon terminal part. So neurotransmitter are receive neurotransmitter receptor present on postsynaptic neuron. Due to this, impulse transmission from synaptic cleft to the postsynaptic neuron, and such impulse once enter into the postsynaptic neuron means dendrite, it pass from dendrite to dendrons to cyton to axon. Now point number 7, the action is either excitatory, means turning a process on, or inhibitory, turning a process off. Is depend upon the nature of involved neurotransmitter, means which neurotransmitter is used in the chemical synapse transmit impulse from one neuron to other neuron. Depend, the action is excitatory or inhibitory. When the action is excitatory, turning process on and the process is completed. When action is inhibitory, turning process off and the process is stopped. So depend upon neurotransmitter, impulse transmission from one neuron to other neuron. After that, excitatory action or inhibitory action depend on neurotransmitter. Once the impulse has been transmitted across the synapse, एकदाचा impulse transmission झाला across the synapse, the enzyme like cholinesterase destroy the neurotransmitter molecules. Always remember, once impulse has been transmitted across the synapse, synapse मधून impulse transmission झाले from one neuron to other neuron, inside the synaptic cleft bounded neurotransmitter molecule, neurotransmitter receptors are destroy one of the enzyme known as cholinesterase enzyme. So such cholinesterase enzyme is most important for destroy the neurotransmitter molecules, and the synapse is ready for receive new impulses. परत एकदा सायनॅप्स नवीन इम्पल्सेसला रिसीव करण्यासाठी तयार असेल, बिकॉज न्यूरोट्रान्समीटर मॉलिक्यूल इज डिस्ट्रॉय बाय cholinesterase enzyme. Hope that you understood everything. Cholinesterase enzyme is destroy neurotransmitter molecules, and synapse is ready to receive a new impulse. Up to this we detail discuss chemical synapse, how impulse transmission from one neuron to other neuron or one neuron to motor organs like gland and muscles. Hope that you understood everything. Review today's topic. We learn in today's lecture types of synapses, electrical synapses and chemical synapses. On the basis of today's lecture, some exercise question noted here. MCQ question number 1. Neurotransmitter stimulate presynaptic membrane, cyton, postsynaptic membrane, axon terminal. Yes, the correct answer is neurotransmitter stimulate postsynaptic membrane. Neurotransmitter is removed by an enzyme called as acetylcholine, dopamine, hyaluronidase, cholinesterase. Yes, the correct answer is cholinesterase is one of the enzyme that remove the neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter receptor present on presynaptic axon terminal, postsynaptic membrane, calcium channel, all of these. Yes, the correct answer neurotransmitter receptors present on postsynaptic membrane. Short answer question number 1. What is exocytosis? Synaptic vesicles are fused to axon terminal membrane, release neurotransmitter molecule. Such process called as exocytosis. Presynaptic neuron have several synaptic knob at axon terminal part. Third question. In which synapse show larger gap? Yes. In chemical synapse show larger gap. Which are the 3 components of typical chemical synapse? Yes. Number 1, axon terminal presynaptic part, postsynaptic membrane and postsynaptic neuron. Number 5, which synapse are called as mechanical synapse? Yes, electrical synapse called as mechanical synapse. In which synapse impulse transmitted very fast? Yes, electrical synapse, impulse transmitted very fast. Which synapse called them neuromuscular junction? Yes, in between a neuron and a muscle's present synapse called as neuromuscular junction. Match column A with column B. In column A, electrical synapse, chemical synapse, here 20-40 nanometer distance, 3.8 nanometer distance, 3.4 nanometer distance. Number 1, electrical synapse, 3.8 nanometer distance, means one match with B. Chemical synapse, yes, 20-40 nanometer distance, means to match with A. Up to this, today's lecture completed. Hope that you understood everything. If you like the video, then you can subscribe my YouTube bioinfo channel, tap the bell icon and like the video. If any doubt about today's lecture, mention in comment box. Thank you.